Well, I'm excited to be beginning our prosperity series, our Adventures in Prosperity for this year. It's a 3-part series, and so we are excited to start. It's called Cultivating Abundance. I wanted that word cultivate to be in the title because for me, I understand now in this teaching and in life that if I want to create something, if I want to build something, if I want something that's important to me to show itself in my world, I've got to cultivate it. I've got to cultivate, pay attention, work on it, build it, be mindful about it. And I think that that is true with regards to abundance. When I say abundance, I'm talking about any form of more that we'd like to have. It might be an abundance of prosperity, financial prosperity, money. It might be opportunities. It might be that our heart yearns for an abundance of relationships and connectedness with other people, abundant love. Many of us struggle with a lack consciousness around even feeling that we're lovable. That we're lovable enough, that we're good enough. That's an abundance issue. And so abundance has an umbrella that includes all of these things. And so no matter where in our life we might feel a sense of lack or that we would yearn for more of, I'm suggesting that we can cultivate that abundance by cultivating our consciousness, by cultivating and looking at ourselves and being mindful about ourselves. In these 3 weeks, we will start today with cultivating mindsets. That's what we're going to go with. And then we will talk next week about cultivating habits of abundance. And the third week, cultivating generosity. And this is, in my mind, head, body, and heart. We are talking about the head today, what's in our mental capacity. Next week, how do we act and behave in the world? How do we move ourselves through the world with regards to abundance? And the last week, how do we heartfully give back to the world? Not just money, but other qualities of beingness that promote abundance. And so my challenge and request is that you consider, if you're trying to cultivate some form of abundance in any one of these forms, be here every week. Be here all 3 weeks, right? Be here. Yeah. It's going to kind of build on itself. It's going to be like a class workshop experience, and you can be here personally, you can be here online. But I really do think that to really cultivate something, it takes this 3-pronged approach. Cultivating some good thing isn't just like, well, I thought about it today and nothing happened, so I give up. Right? That would be like walking into the gym tomorrow, wanting to build up your upper body muscles, doing a few exercises, walking out of the gym and expecting to be able to lift a car or something like that. We have to build the muscle. And this is no different. Cultivating an abundance consciousness, especially in an area where we may have struggled up till now, where we may have been dancing with lack or limitation or a perception thereof, requires that we apply ourselves wholeheartedly to it to shift it, to transform it. It's not just a one-time approach. And so our teaching and the work that we do together calls on us to be that mindful presence. And as I said in the announcement videos, if you got to see those, we're offering a class on Tuesdays, all of the Tuesdays of May, starting this next week, based on a wonderful book by one of my favorite prosperity teachers who's going to work with us about financial prosperity. Her name is Edwene Gaines. We've had her speak here many times. She is retired now. Her book is The 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity, and we're going to look at every law each week. And good news, Edwene is joining us the first night of class via Zoom. She's going to come into the class and talk about the first law of prosperity for a bit. We have childcare. If you have a kiddo that can stay up past 8 o'clock, please feel free to bring them. Our wonderful staff will be here to entertain them and keep them happy and fulfilled while we work together to build prosperity. All are welcome. You can join us in person. You can join us online. You can be here 1 week on person and 1 week online, whatever you want. And I say here, because we're going to be right here in this very room. We're going to do the class right here in this place, okay? So I hope you will consider joining us. I think that's sort of like, it's like college. This is the lecture, that's the lab. Or like Reverend Josh says, this is the spiritual gym, so this is the lesson on how to do it, and in the class we actually get to doing it in terms of financial prosperity. So today as we approach the notion of cultivating mindsets for abundance, I want to quote that really famous person, Unknown, who says to us, "You become unstoppable when you work on things people can't take away from you." You become unstoppable when you work on things other people can't take away from you. And the reason I think that's so powerful when it comes to cultivating abundance is that many of us, since yesterday was May the 4th be with you, I will say we've been seduced by the dark side, my friends. We believe, or we tend to believe, or just notice if this is your belief when it comes to that area of abundance you want to work on, if there's a belief that it has to change out there for me to have more. In other words, if I only had more money, I could be prosperous. If only they would just add 2 more hours to the clock every day, I would have more time. If only there were more people on the planet, I could have more friends. If only there were more single people, I could have a relationship. If only there was more information out there about what... No, never mind. There's way too much information, isn't there? But that is my point. We tend to have this a little backwards when it comes to our abundance issues. We persist in believing that if something out there would change, my life would be better. If the IRS would just change their tax rules, if the government would do this, if that other political party would change this, if this policy were different, if it were easier to, if only I could, if that were, then I could be. And here in this teaching, we say it's actually the other way around. When I do the work to be, my life then manifests and shows me that which I'm working on. That I have to be the one to shift my awareness. And I will admit that as I'm working on this notion of mindsets in this abundance series, I had a lot of resistance because I thought, well, this is just too basic. That Maha crowd, they're so spiritually sophisticated. They know all this. Anybody who's been part of personal growth work or this teaching, you know it's a mindset. You know your thoughts contribute to your reality. This isn't news for you. But the truth is, I think this is kind of like back to basics. Because I believe that in terms of that issue of abundance that might be plaguing us, it's a conglomeration of mindset that's in the way. It always is. It's never something out there. It's always the mindset. I joke often about a person who has struggled with lack consciousness, who just believes with all their heart and mind, there's just not enough money to help me live a good life. That person could see and walk through their life with that belief, and someone could set a big pile of money right next to them and they'd walk right on by and persist in their belief system. Or if they saw it, they might trip over it and pick it up and say, oh my gosh, all this money. And then that mindset would cause them to lose it, give it all away, spend it too quickly, invest it poorly, whatever, because mindset is everything. It is everything. And when we change it and shift it and allow ourselves to cultivate a new mindset, our reality begins to shift. We know this from all those realms I'm talking about, personal growth, the spiritual technologies that we teach here, and we know this from brain technology. We can see as scientists watch our brains work, and they can actually see us thinking certain thoughts, certain energetic in the mind, the system of a being, and it allows that person to see through lack-colored glasses, or lonely-colored glasses, or painful-colored glasses, or limited colored glasses. That's where our mind goes. And so we have to take responsibility and ownership of our mindsets, because it's a story, it's an idea that we've globbed onto and we've cultivated such that it is our reality. There's another famous person I would like to quote today. Her name is Michelle Medrano, and she says she had a magnet that we used to have in the store, and it said, "When you stick to your story sticks to you." When you stick to that story about how life is, the good news and the bad news is you get to be right? Yay! My story's the right one for me. Oh, my story is the right one for me. We get to have a story. Now, the reason that this works, just to go back even a little bit further into some basic notions, is that there is an abundant presence in the universe that is expressing itself through all of creation. We call it God. It is this presence that is love. All faith traditions will claim and shout out and own God is love. And we believe God is life. We believe that God is not a person, it's a presence. It's expressing itself in these qualities, generously giving itself, unconditionally giving itself to all of creation. And that each one of us is a unique expression in the experience that God is having. And that each of us manage our experience of living through our mindsets. One could actually think of them as almost like a piece of software that we've downloaded as we believe things about life. Oh, yeah, that's how life is there. Boom, 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 download. And the energy moves through and the software expresses and out comes exactly what we see on the screen. It's just like a computer. If you download Windows and everything works, you get Windows on your screen. It's the same for us. What we're getting on our screen, what we're seeing on our screen has to do with the mindsets that we've downloaded. And so we can change that. We can shift the software. We can do something different. We are expressions of life itself. That we can allow ourselves to make these shifts is powerful. It is our true superpower. We are not the victims. We are not hapless victims of life, unable to reach for our dreams, for our fondest heart's desire. We are empowered with this powerful source of creation and can shift and change our life if and when we choose to start applying ourselves towards that change. The longer we persist in feeding old mindsets, that is our reality. At the same time, the reason I say that it's a cultivation is Holmes says very clearly, our founder, Ernest Holmes, says, hey, this teaching is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It is not a, hey, everybody, come on, let's get some money, let's go. It's about shifting our mentality in powerful and profound ways to allow more good to flow to us in any realm of our life. When I think about a mindset, Holmes would also call them probably a mental equivalent. For those of you who've taken classes, we talk about mental equivalents. When I think about them in this, putting together this talk, I kept envisioning a mental equivalent or a mindset almost being like a cell of energy that exists within my consciousness, and at the core of it is a thought. Now, we think that thoughts are everything, and thoughts change things, and I believe that. However, sometimes I think we forget to notice that our thought or our mental equivalent or our mindset is also a conglomeration of not only what we've thought, but how we felt about what we thought, what we've experienced, what we've decided because of what we've thought. And all of that energy that we sometimes don't want to look at, we just want to go to, what am I thinking? What am I thinking? And that's a good place to start. At the core of it, if we see it almost like a cell of the nucleus, it's an original thought. It's a sponsoring thought. It's a decision we've made. It's an idea we've held to be sacred and we're sure about. And then off of it comes all of the feelings and emotions we've had. And as I thought back on my life, I realized that for a long time when I first came into this teaching, I was plagued by a very challenging memory that I had of being a little child I think I was probably about 3 years old, because my siblings were not in the picture. And my parents, who had me when they were very young, they were teenagers, were standing in front of me. By now, if I'm 3, they have to be in about their 20s. And I was sitting on the living room floor just playing with a toy. And I look up and my parents are in front of me and they're fighting voraciously. And the energy is growing and they're just obsessed with this fight, whatever they're fighting about. And it's even getting a little bit physically dangerous and a little bit scary. And as I'm sitting there watching these people, this voice inside of me, well, the first voice was, I don't think these people know what they're doing. And then what came after that was, they can't take care of me. They're so obsessed with each other, they can't take care of me. And then what I remember thinking was, I'm going to have to do this on my own then. I'm on my own. I'm going to have to take care of myself because these people don't know what they're doing. Sponsoring thought. Boom. And after that, I made all sorts of decisions based on that 3-year-old thought. It wasn't logical necessarily, like, oh, ha, ha, ha. It was, what came was a movement of energy that was that thought. And I know what came with it was fear and anxiety. What came with it was sadness, loneliness. What came with it was chutzpah and a sense of fine and stubbornness. What came with it even later was anger. And what happened because of that mindset, as I grew older, I tried to manage the energy of that. Well, first of all, by taking care of everybody else. If no one's here to take care of me, let me take care of everybody else then, right? That'll help. Didn't help. And then what also happened is that I guess the good news is that I am and have been in my life fiercely independent. I'm one of those women who I can live alone, I can take care of myself, I can travel the world all by myself. I don't feel this overriding, I need people kind of energy. I love people and I love having friends and I love having relationships and connected with people, but I don't need it. If I was on a desert island, at that time especially, I was like, I got this. Not true, but that was my belief, right? And so I went through my life in that fierce independence. As I got older, what I noticed is that what I couldn't do was receive. Couldn't receive help. Couldn't receive or really feel other people's help, love, support. I would not let people do anything for me because I got this. I can do it all myself. I'm probably the only one in the room who had this, right? Yeah. Could tell this may not be landing with everybody, but. And here's what happens when you've got a mental equivalent like that, and all the while the universe is pouring itself through you and to you as abundance, and you're going, no, I can do it myself. No. Oh, it takes so much energy to resist the universe. But I was good at it. I was so good at it. And I could resist. And then sometimes I'd kind of wake up to it, but it often felt like I was sort of doing this with the universe. Come, don't come. Come, gimme. No. Oh, I'm even exhausted doing it. So I started working with a practitioner here at Mile High Church, one of those prayer practitioners. And it was one of the first things she challenged me on. And I began a concerted effort of cultivating the willingness to be helped, the willingness to receive. See, and when I say I don't think I'm alone in this, some of these mental equivalent mindsets we might have that are blocking us from the abundance that the universe is pouring forth include some of the ones I said before. I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable enough. I'm not enough. I can do it all by myself. I don't need anyone's help. I've often counseled people to say, and just said to them something innocently like, why don't you let people help you? Let them open the door for you. Let them help you a little bit. And just that idea has changed people's lives because it changed mine. The minute that I started saying, yes, I'll let myself be supported, my life shifted dramatically and continued to shift because that mental equivalent, that mindset became, I am ready to receive. I am willing to receive. And the more I was willing to receive the good of life, the abundance of life, the support that life had to offer in all of its forms, the more I could receive. And the more I could receive, the more abundantly my life expressed itself. That's what I mean by a mental equivalent. Everyone's got them. And if there is an area where we are perceiving a sense of lack, limitation, not enough, there is a mindset that has been built like that, and our work is to dismantle it. Now, Holmes says very clearly to us, it's not enough just to get rid of one's negative mindset. We also must build. We must build up new mindsets. And that's a huge part of what I'm inviting us to do in this series and today as we contemplate cultivating mindsets, as we contemplate cultivating ideas. Firstly, we get a clear vision of what we would want. Does it mean that my vision of abundance is that I have more than enough time to do all that I need? I have more than enough money to do all the things I'd like to do. Indeed, for Edwene Gaines, that's her definition of prosperity in her book, that I have more than enough cash to do all that I want to do in my life. There's more than enough people in this lifetime to have connection with. And we get to decide, I'd like to have 2 really good friends that I could feel I could count on. Doesn't mean you have to be best friends with everybody on the planet. We get to decide what our version of abundance is. What does that mean for us? One of my favorite movies that depicts this so clearly is It Could Happen to You with Nicolas Cage and Bridget Fonda. I don't know if any of you saw that movie, but Nick Cage plays a police officer. And he goes into a diner one day to get coffee from Bridget, and her character, he doesn't have enough money to tip her. And so he has a lottery ticket, and he says, okay, here's my tip. If I win the lottery, I promise I will bring you half of it. And so they kind of laugh and all that sort of thing. Then he wins the lottery, and he wins like $2 million. And to his credit, he comes back the next day to share the lottery with her and give her her $1 million. And she's been struggling financially, and she's over the moon happy. And here's what I love about her. She goes out so excited to be this millionaire now, and her big splurge is she goes to the store and she buys macadamia nuts. Because to her, wealthy people eat macadamia nuts. Edwene has a story in her book very similar about feeling that wealthy people eat olives with little almonds in them. And she has this hilarious story about her and her friend Lana sitting around a pool, drinking wine, eating almonds and macadamia nuts and almonds and olives and pretending that they're wealthy and that they've got everything they want in the world. So it's not necessarily that everybody wants to be a gazillionaire. It might be that I want to have resources to do the things I want to do, to travel, to share with my friends and family, to express myself fully, to do what I love in this life. That's beautiful, gentle, elegant. Some of us may have big, gigantic dreams. That's fine too. Everyone gets to be where they want to be, but the secret is to start by choosing to have a clear vision for myself of the mental equivalent, the mindset that I need to build. What is it that I want to create? And then I can start to build that mindset. And then I think as we begin to build the mindset and we begin to tear the old one down, I suggest we begin with questions. Some of us want to go right into, now I'm going to affirm that I have, and I'm affirming, and I'm suggesting to get to that place where we're the clearest we can be might mean we ask questions. This is how we got to that mindset in the first place, I'm suggesting. The mindset of, well, what if it all goes wrong? Well, what if they hate me? What if it doesn't work out? What if it's not right? What if I mess it up? Those questions, they are the heart of mindsets that are no longer serving us. So it seems to me like some other questions might be afoot as we are building a powerful mindset. More active questions such as, what do I tend to say about abundance in this area? Do I hear myself telling my friends, well, there's not enough people out there. There's never anybody for me to have a relationship with. There's nobody going to be around me. Am I complaining a lot? Do I complain? Am I negative? Am I always talking about other people in the government? And am I putting people down who have what I want? Am I judgy in my conversations? What do I hear myself saying in this realm of my life? Thinking in this realm of my life, expressing in this realm of my life. We can't be in denial about that because it shows us where our work is. Another good question to ask as we're building a new mindset is, who do I judge? Do I look at people who have what I would like to have and celebrate for them, or do I judge them? And I can pretty much guarantee that if we look out at people who are billionaires or whatever, and we're constantly judging them, we can't have that. Anything we're judging in other people, we can't have it. The reason we can't have it is judgment is like a separation between us and the good that we seek. So you see another couple in love, and you'd like to have that kind of love, and instead of saying, look at that couple, they're so in love, that's just disgusting, I don't know. We can say, oh, look at that. There's a couple who's obviously in love. I like that. Yeah, that's wonderful. Isn't that beautiful? There is a principle in life. What I can see and celebrate, I can have. Now, certainly, in the realm of facts, billionaires and people who don't have a lot of money do weird things. And the fact might be that they make choices. Look what Elon Musk did. Look what Bezos did. Of course. But it's all about the energy. Look what they did versus, oh, look what they did. Yeah. There's a difference, and it makes all the difference. If I can see it and celebrate it, I can have it. So looking at what we tend to judge, who we tend to judge, and what we judge them for tells us about our mindset and what we might need to change. And the last one becomes, what are my habitual thought patterns? What do I habitually think about this subject matter? It's hard. It's never going to happen. Why can't I do this? I am horrible. I can't believe that this is not happening for me. Habitual mindsets. This is our contribution to that little bubble of our mindset, and we get to decide, is that really what I want to contribute to this? Or is there something more supportive? I saw a meme here that said, you'll never regret asking questions to get more clarity. You'll always regret making a decision based on a story you've created in your head. And that's what we do most of the time. We're making up stories and then making them our reality. And just like that practitioner and Dr. Phil would say, how's that working for you? It's not working for us. So we must question, and we must begin to tell a different story. And this is where transformation really begins to happen. When we allow ourselves to contemplate a different story, even if we're not really sure the story's true, to stand in the reality of, what if I am enough? What if I am actually quite lovable? What if it were easy? What if I enjoyed building this new reality. That's the kind of storytelling with questions that we begin. And other people begin to tell stories by posting some pretty basic things in their environment. Affirmations of their good, pictures of what they want. This is all basic stuff to those of us who've been doing this for a while, but this is why we do it. It's to build a new mental equivalent. It's to build a new mindset. It's to challenge the old one and begin to build the new one. It's allowing ourselves to say things that we believe in and that we are aligned with and that we're choosing. And we begin to watch our conversation with our friends. We begin to speak more positively about ourself and our life. We begin to choose it, and choose it again. And this is how we completely transform that little mindset with a new sponsoring thought and new energy and new life. It's step one. There are more steps, but this is step one. And when we begin to take it, we immediately begin to feel the uplift of it, because it is just a lot more happy in life to contemplate the positive, the possibilities, the what ifs, than it is to contemplate the things that no longer serve us. We obsess sometimes about the things that don't serve us versus contemplating what would serve us. It's a shift. And what I noticed with my mindset is that the more I saw it clearly, let it go, forgave my parents, took the steps to risk, to be loved, and to be in receivership, the more it happened, the more it just flowed. I'm inviting us into this week. This week, begin the shift of the mindset or sets, and watch life change. And one of the things we use here that is a shift of mindset is prayer. We don't pray to a God out there to do it for us. We pray to be open to allow the light and the love that God is to pour through us uninhibited by our old ideas. So that's why we pray affirmatively. So please join me in that. I invite our practitioner prayer partners, if they choose to stand with me in this prayer as we come together. And in our prayer process, we begin by recognizing and speaking to that which we know God to be. So I accept and affirm and claim that the infinite light that God is in, through, and as all of creation. It is the love of this universe, the light. It is the abundance. It is the joy. It is the harmony. It is the peace. It is everywhere present in these forms, making itself constantly available. And we see evidence of it everywhere we look, as we look into nature, as we look into the hearts of human beings doing great things in the world, as we look at all that has come together to allow us to live this life we are living. We can see the signs of the living presence right around us, through us, in us, and as us. And indeed, this is what we see. We recognize that as this God presence is everywhere, it is right where we are. I know that it is right where I am in this moment, and it is inhabiting this very word that I speak, and I know that it is in and as every person who hears this word, that we are one. We are connected. We are whole. We are love, we are abundance. And therefore, I accept and affirm that we go forth this day with deep and profound wisdom within us. A wisdom that allows us to proclaim the genesis of a new mindset on behalf of abundance in our life. We begin to cultivate and bring forth these great ideas and possibilities that lift us up, that begin to transform the energy of our beingness powerfully and profoundly, that each of us is guided, and that wisdom within us helps us to see and sense and take the actions necessary to rethink and reimagine and reach for the stars. reaching for a better life, a more glorious life, a more balanced life, a more joy-filled life, a more connected life. We do this now. And we are so grateful. I am so grateful that this truth is made manifest on behalf of us now. I am so grateful for the inner wisdom that exists as us, guiding us in every step this week. And I'm so grateful that this prayer, just as it has been spoken, is now made manifest in this beautiful world. I release this prayer into the action of that law. I release it. I let it be. I let it go. I surrender it in great joy, for I know that it has been spoken. It is done. The seed has been planted and is taking root, and new ideas are springing forth within each one of us and as each one of us right now. I let it go. I let it be. And so it is. Amen.